All right, welcome back. We continue right here live on Pittsburgh CW. Again, a reminder to you, join us for the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. It'll be Jason Mackey along with Mark Caboli and Will Graves joining me at 11:35 on KDK TV. In the meantime, we're talking a lot about the Pirates and the Penguins, and we're going to go right to the lines. Pete in Squirrel Hill is the first caller tonight. Pete, welcome to the Sports Call once again. How are you?
Thank you for taking my call, and welcome back. You were missed.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it.
2 points, Bob. Number one, anybody who would give Manny Machado $300 million is out of their mind. He doesn't run balls out. He nonchalants in the field. He's disliked by his union brothers, and the umpires can't stand him. Number two, Bob, there's no such thing as resiliency in a baseball team. Every time a guy gets into the batter's box, no matter what the score, Bob, he's trying to get a hit to be successful. The same thing in the field. He's trying to make the play if the balls hit to him. That's what guarantees him keeping him there, Bob. And
yeah, but you got to give that team credit, don't you? They're a tight-knit group, Pete. They don't quit on things. They seem to rally around one another. I give them a lot of credit for that.
There's no such thing as resilience. Come on, Pete. I agreed so much with your first point with Manny Machado. I could not disagree more with the resilience thing. There's 162 baseball games in a year. Sometimes when you get down, it's nice and easy to just pack it in and say, this is the end of our Sunday. We're going to go home, and that's that. And the Pirates didn't do that
when a guy
twice.
Gets into the batter's box in the first inning, the fifth inning, or the ninth inning, he's trying to get the hit with the same effort and make a play with the same effort?
Yeah, but I mean, also, they were down,
Yes.
and like he said, Jason's right about that. I've seen, and I'm sure you have too, Pete, too many Pirate teams especially who've gotten down, and that's it, and you know it's coming. This group just doesn't quit, and I give them credit for that. But thank you for the call. Appreciate it. By the way, Machado made 3 errors in this series. I thought that one today, though, that was kind of a dribbler. It could have gone either way. Did you agree with the call the other night, 2 errors on 1 play?
Oh, yeah. I'm fine.
Okay.
What? You don't like it?
I don't know. Sometimes I wonder about those calls. But Evan Paddock's very good at what he does. So let's go out to Bob in Indiana, who joins us right now. Bob, welcome to the Sports Call. What's going on?
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Good to have you back, Bob.
Thank you.
Hey, the more you see Brian Reynolds play, the more he is making Starling Marte look bad. I mean, this guy knows where to throw, what to do. He's set up before every ball comes to him, and he kind of knows what's going on. You see Marte, that one inning, they shouldn't have gone to run because he threw the thing to home plate and let the guy get second.
He did that a couple of times in this series.
Yeah, and it's awful. And even these pitches, he's swinging at these balls that are not even in the strike zone, and then the ones that are down the middle, he just watches them. I don't know where his head is, but it's so frustrating. And, that's where we're appreciative of a guy like Brian that, is coming up, and you can appreciate his skill that he has for as young as he is.
Yeah, good call. Thank you very much for that. But I'm not giving up on Starling Marte. There's still too much talent there. So, Jason, let me ask you. His name may be mentioned at the deadline. Do the Pirates make a deal? If there's anyone on this team who can bring value back, to me, he would be the most logical choice.
He would be the most logical choice, and I think I would play it by situation, Bob. I think if they go back to hitting the skids, and let's say these next couple of weeks they really struggle and they're, 8, 9, 10 games out of first place. At that point, I am perfectly fine with moving Starling Marte. If they close the gap, if they're 2, 3 games when we're talking about this, I wouldn't do it because I think he has value for them. And I understand why, as a fan, it's confounding to watch this guy because it's like his head is in outer space sometimes, but he's one of the most physically gifted athletes on the team. You live with the bad and you take a lot of the good. I think we could draw Penguins parallel to that. We could draw Steelers parallel to that. We're not going to look at Phil Kessel and start bemoaning the lack of defense that he plays. Plate discipline is just not Starling Marte's forte. And sometimes, his head is in the clouds. But when his head is reasonably screwed on straight, the guy can be a dynamic center fielder.
And he's very good defensively. I think you forget that sometimes, what he can do. Now, those throws to me, when you miss cutoff man and you allow guys to get extra bases, those are dangerous.
Yeah.
Because they could cost you a game.
And you're not going for anything. It's just a lollipop.
There was no way he was going to get out today at home plate. He had no chance, in my view, so he shouldn't have looked at it that way. All right, let's move along. We're going to get out to Pleasant Hills. Dave on line 5 is our next caller. Dave, welcome to the Sports Call.
Thank you. Just an observation. I find it interesting. Before the season, everyone was touting the Pirate pitching, and we all know what's happened. But for the second time this season, a pitcher comes in with a tie game, gives up runs, and ends up winning the game thanks to the batting. Laureano today, I think the last time happened, it was with the Feliz.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? I never liked that, but it is what it is in terms of scoring, if that's what you're talking about. But Laureano didn't deserve to get a win.
Yeah, that's it. It's just an observation. I mean, a guy, there were 2 outs. He should have got out of that inning, but he didn't. Gives up 3 runs, and then thanks to his batters coming back, he gets the win. I mean, it's just there's nothing else you can do about it, but it's just interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. And to be fair, I think at the beginning of the season, everybody was touting the Pirates touting the Pirates starting pitching over the hitting and not necessarily the bullpen. I think a lot of people were still wondering what the heck the bullpen.
Let me ask you this: why is it that every bullpen in the majors, and I'm looking at, I went through a lot of them. I looked at ERAs, and
they all stink.
They all stink. Every single one of them stinks. Yeah. Why is that?
I think it's a volatile role. I mean, from a former relief pitcher myself, like, you have one bad outing and you're just screwed. It's a lot harder to battle back if you struggle as a relief pitcher. But I think they're high leverage situations. What they're trying to do with spin rates and velocity, like, you're cranking up the possibility for there being mistakes. And right now, with the way the game's being played, with 3 true outcomes and home runs being as prevalent as they are, you're seeing things change dramatically and seismically.
A lot of guys don't even belong up here, to be honest. And the Pirates have a number of them, I think, are not ready for this stage. And we'll see what they do. Let's go to Mike, who joins us in Bethel Park. Mike, what's up? How are you tonight?
Yeah, hey guys, great comeback. I like what you said. Good fight, 2-3 run deficits to overcome. I love it. I was just curious. I went back tonight on the computer. There were 432 pitches thrown today by both teams with 13 pitchers, and the umps. You got guys with different release points, lefty, righty, angles. It's hard for these guys behind the plate to track that. I wonder why they can't attempt to do the strike zone. Maybe in AAA, fine-tune it and bring it up to the majors.
All right, Jason, go ahead. First of all, I have a problem, thanks for the call, with this. I don't like the strike zone on television. I know they sell it because I don't think it's totally accurate. I still don't. And I think too many times people are looking at that thing, including the broadcasters, and it's just barely missing that one outside grid.
Yeah.
And people overreact. You take that away and you wouldn't have the same opinion. Some of those are strikes that are called balls and vice versa.
Well, and I also think too often in that situation, broadcasters, fans, or whatever, you're taking the human element out of the game. And as long as human beings are calling ball, no, don't get me wrong. I would be all in favor of having a robotic umpiring system. But
it's essentially what you have now if you're looking at the grid.
Yeah,
right?
But I mean, that's not reality. All that is on your television screen. But if I'm a pitcher and I'm attacking the outside part of the plate all day and I'm living there and I keep picking and picking and picking, guys like Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, they were terrific at this. You're going to extend the plate and you're going to get those calls. My biggest problem now, and I think you see it now because of the velocity and, again, the spin, is just stuff isn't consistent. A low strike for one team isn't a low strike. Sometimes it's outside, sometimes it's inside. You don't know what the heck they're doing. And I don't blame the umpires because balls are moving so fast. I just think we've gotten to a point with the evolution of pitchers and pitching and cameras and stuff that just have robots.
Well, here's the thing. I thought Kevin Newman was struck out. That should have been a strikeout call.
That probably was
because
a
that same call was called a strike when Starling Marte took it and didn't like it, if you watch. Same exact pitch. So very erratic there. All right, Josiah joins us right now from San Antonio, Texas. Josiah, what's up?
Hey, how you doing, Bob?
What's going on?
Hey, Jason, I wanted to say you do a good job with Stan Savran on his interviews. I listen to as well. But my question was for Mike Hilton and Joe Hayden. I think the Steelers' priority should be to make sure that they get those guys locked up as soon as they can. And to me, I think Hayden is the closest to Ike Taylor. Compliment.
Well, I would agree with that. Thank you for the call, Josiah. I will say this, and Mike Hilton, I think, is underpaid, and I think he's making $635. He turned down their exclusive rights offer. So he has Drew Rosenhaus battling for him. So Rosenhaus is going to come in, and who knows where that goes. But I give him credit. He's showing up. He's going to play. He's not, he's not happy with the offer, but that's what it is.
I'm with Josiah. I mean, I can't sit here and say that I know the innards of the Steelers' financial situation, but I mean, I know what I've seen out of that defense and who is competent covering people and maybe who is not. And those two fall in the first category. I really like Joe Hayden on that defense. I would not want to see him go anywhere.
When we come back, we'll take more of your calls. Also talk a little bit more about the Penguins and what they do next. 412-575-2600. You're watching the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call 7 nights a week on Pittsburgh CW.